Hello friends, this is Ganesh. Hope you're doing wonderful. In this video, we are going to see the purchase requisition create option in the workflow process. Along with that, we are going to see about the task. So the transaction is PFTC. To create, display or modify the task, normally we use PFTC. Or other way, in SWDD also you can create a task. So in SAP switch between the transactions, it's pretty easy, right? So you can create a table in SE80 or SE11 also. The same way you can create a task either of the transaction. And slowly, once you start working on the workflow, you just come to know which step required a task. Okay, so if the user decision, yes, I need a task. Mostly the user decision task is standard one. I believe it's 8267, the number end with. That is a standard task which creates for the user decision. The same way, different steps needs a different task. Sometimes it creates from the scratch and sometimes it uses the standard one. Okay. So we'll try to understand slowly with the different scenarios. Next one is workflow log. Once the process ends, we need to understand how the flow happens in the workflow. It's like workflow design may have a different streams or different conditions, so we need to understand how it went through. So for that, there is a transaction called SWEL. Most of the workflow log we just come to understand with that transaction only. And the workflow linkage between the business objects and the workflow. If you take the rental system, so the same business object and the user is also same, can be used by many people. So to understand the same object used by which of the workflow, that we need to understand the linkage between the business object and the workflow. It's very common in the rental system, but in real time we may have a customized workflow, or we have individual groups or individual users. Okay, but still we need to understand how we are able to see those informations. That is coming under SWET YPV transaction. And technical details of the workflow. Some examples, the user may ask, this is a workflow, can you just check it out why it is not working, or this is a change, can you able to make it? So we need to understand the execution of the workflow, the technical details, what does it mean? Because as a technical, we need a workflow name start with WF, or we need to know what is a task which is generating this process. So to understand the technical information or to get the technical information from the workflow, so we just go through the page in the workflow log, and we're going to understand where there is an option to find the workflow name and the task name. So that is the technical details of the workflow, how to find the technical details of the workflow. Deadline monitoring. So this is one of the process which we are going to learn today. So deadline monitoring is nothing but just a reminder. The workflow is triggered, but it is not, there is no action happen for certain days or certain minutes or hours. So then we have to send a reminder to the person, so please approve it. Or there is an option to saying, okay, we are skipping your approval, let's go to the next level. So that depends on the business scenario. So basically it's nothing but a deadline monitoring. So that we are going to go through today. It has a lot of options, just an introduction about deadline monitoring. And the process control is one of the step which we are going to add in this today's scenario. It's nothing but the forcefully I'm going to pass a message to the workflow saying you have to cancel this workflow, you have to expire this workflow, or some other options are available. Okay, so that is something with the process control. Process control means we are going to control the process forcefully with some options or with some steps. Okay, so these are the things which we are going to learn in this today's video. So let's get into the system now. Yeah, this is my system. I just created one workflow and saved it. I didn't do anything else. So quickly I'm going through this options. So I'm going to create the start event. So start event is for me it's BO, and this is 2105 purchase order business object. Here it's created. And let's have this workflow container. It's going to be used in different tasks as well. So I'm just creating business objects here as well. So this is for PO for PR. Here create and plus 2105. Properties, I need just an import. Continue. Okay, and if you see the bindings, so it's there already, and it is also automatically generated. So we are good and active on it. So this is customizing one. So customizing request to save your changes. Okay, done. So if you go to steps, it's graphical mode, you can see it got created. So now I'm going to add an activity, kind of a user decision. So approve. Okay. So approve PR. So here you have an option to get the value using Amazon. So these are four parameters you have. You have four parameters here. You can, if you want, you can use comma Amazon 1, 2, 3, 4. Same like how we use in the messages. And the parameter is nothing but I'm going to get it from the container where I have created. So I want the purchase requisition number. Okay. And we'll play around more about these agents now. Just concentrate on the flow. So I'm going to use only the workflow initiator for that. So decision is going to be two things. Approve, approval, outcome is approval, and this reject, denied. Just a difference, okay. Now, so here I'm going to give a few information for to identify easily. This is my, because it's a rental system, right? So even I tried a lot with the different workflow numbers. So I'm going to use 128. I want to make sure the workflow is getting generated based on our workflow. So continue, save it, and act about it. Okay, so this is the first step. So let's execute and see how it's getting generated. Then we'll go through the linkage, workflow log, or technical details, and then we'll just come to add the deadline monitoring. Okay, so this is 128. So if you go to purchase requisition, so you don't worry about this process. We not do much concentrate on how to create a purchase requisition over here. So I'm going to use the existing one and add the questionnaire as one of the mandatory field and save. So 20196. So end with 196. So go to the SPWP transaction inbox and workflow. So 196, 128. So this is the one approved PR 128, 20196. So you can see a lot of things are getting generated. So you're going to see the linkage of the business object. And now if you double click, you don't have anything, only approve or reject. So you can see approve, approve, and continue. So it's done. So now go to the transaction SWEL to monitor the log, workflow log. So just execute. If you want to change the time and date and time, you can do it, or just execute it. It will display all the workflows getting generated based on your workflow number. You're able to identify, yes, this is ours. Just double click a few information. So which object type we used and what is the object key is nothing but in our scenario is a purchase requisition number. What is the event, who used it, and here receiver type is nothing but who received it actually. Okay, so those all the informations are available here, but we need little more. So go to work item. And here the status plays a major role because we're going to add a deadline monitoring. So different status will come. So here is completed means your workflow is done. Okay. So even if you click here, you can see the informations. Again, the basic informations about your workflow and what are the available objects and workflow item log. Everything is here. And mostly we concentrate on the graphic level, the initial stages. So you can see yes, started, approved, it's completed, workflow completed. And from here, if you want to know the technical data, okay, so then what you can do is go to extras, technical data. So you come to know which task. This one is a user design, a user decision task. It's a standard task 8267. It's used, and this is the workflow name. Okay, 128 is the workflow ID, a workflow name. So from here, you come to know what is the workflow. Then go to HTWW if you want to monitor or change. You can go ahead with that. So this is one of the way to see the technical data of any existing workflow. Okay, and then so here if you go to workflow objects, it's like it shows, depends on which scenario it gets created. Even if you click, it will take you to ME53N, the relevant transaction which displays the document. Okay, that you can able to see from this option. Okay, so this is the display the purchase acquisition which we created. Okay, and this is about SWEL. Most of the time we use this transaction to see the workflow log, what happened actually. And then if you want to see the one more is linkage, right? So what is the transaction for linkage? SWETY. Okay, it's a kind of a view. So here you can go with the position because we know this is a business object and this is for 2105. So 2105 for the event created, this much workflows are generated for this particular, because it's a test system, means rental system. So many people started working on it, and type of the linkage is selected. So these are active. Okay, so these versions are active. So whenever there is a PR created, this much workflow is getting generated for the create event, because we use a create event. So some other events also created for the same business object. So if it is a test environment or if it is your own local system, so you can go and deactivate it, but not directly here because this is just a view. But you have to get into that workflow and you have to deactivate it. So that you might aware of it. So there is a button. Go to HWT. So I'm just doing it for 1 or 2, maybe 16 and 17. So 16 and 17. Before that, let me go here. Yeah, 16 and 17. Okay, I'm going to just deactivate these two workflows. So go here, previous one, 116, and go to the create option, triggering option. This is the place where you're going to deactivate it. Just click this. Activate and go back and activate it. Okay, so now go to the view. We don't have a refresh option. So 116 I deactivated, right? Position. PO. So now you can see 116 is deactivated. So this is a way you can see most of the things we are not able to do it, but at least to understand whether any other workflows are mapped with the same business object as with the same. Okay, so this is a way to see the linkage, business object linkage. So now go back to, yeah. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a deadline monitoring, meaning if the user doesn't do anything, if the user doesn't approve it for some days, then automatically is going to be expired. Technically, we call it expired or obsolete. Okay, that option we are going to make it, or we are going to send a reminder. depends on the business scenario, we can make use of that. So just double click and go to latest in. This is just a beginning of the deadline monitoring. We have few options: latest in, request star, request end. We'll try to understand those things. By default, the refer date and time is saying no active deadline monitoring. So now I'm going to change that. This is going to be start from workflow item creation. Whenever that particular workflow item creation, then I need the deadline monitoring option. And it's going to be the when you want to send it or when you want to trigger this. Not send is nothing but the next step. What you want to do is the next step, but when you want to trigger this with the 2 minutes, like 2 hours, 2 days, weeks, months, year. Okay, so keep on reminder kind of. So now I'm going to see I want just for testing purpose 2 minutes. So within 2 minutes, if no action has happened, no approval, no reject happened for the PR, then I want to send kind of a reminder. So there are two options. What do you want to do? Display text or model? So I will try both. Now I'm going to see just display text. Okay. Action is just a display text. And to whom? Again, we're going to use the same initiator over here and just save it. Okay. So 2 minutes, I'm going to do the display text. And if you come here, you can see 8267. This is a task. It's a standard task. It by default is created for the step user decision. If you double click, it take you to PFTC transaction. So here you can see what is the method, what is the object they are using. So decision is the object type, process is the method they used, and these are the options you have. So suppose if you want to the same, then you can copy the task, like you can modify it, depends on your need. Okay, through PFTC transaction. So now come back to SWDD, continue. Okay, hold on. This is 116 because I recently used mine is 128. Yes. Okay, so this is mine. So 128, I have the user decision. Did I make a change in 16? I believe not in 128. 100. Yes. Sorry, I'll do the same. So go here and toward work item creation, 2 minutes, display text is the action and recipient of the messages, workflow initiator. That's it. And here also the same user decision 8267 because it's standard task. And agent assignment is green because this is a standard task, it's already done. If it is a user defined task, we have to do it manually. Continue. We'll see how to do that. So now if you see, you didn't see any extra steps because it's just a display text. So there is no extra step. If it is a model, then you will get a one more extra step. We'll see that quite later. Click save and activate. So 2 minutes, okay. Activate successfully. Now I'm going to generate the PR. Drag and drop, questionnaire field, save it. 20197. So here, okay, refresh. So 20197, just double click. So I'm not going to do anything. So after 2 minutes, the color of your message is getting changed. Okay, yeah. So after 2 minutes, the color of your particular message is getting changed to light yellow. I'm not good with colors. And then there is a message saying here you crossed or your deadline is missed. You missed the deadline. Okay, that is the use of display text. Hopefully 12209. 2 minutes done. No. Okay. Just wait it. Let me try again. I just passed the video and refresh. Yes. So if you see, these are the existing ones. So just concentrate on 128. So the 128 has got changed the color and display text. This is because the action for the deadline monitoring we used is a display text, and there is a text in your description. The following deadline was missed. Latest end. Okay, so that's what it's coming. So this is the option if you use the display text for the deadline monitoring. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to change the action from display text to modeled. So for that, we're going to use one more option here, version. I don't want to disturb this, let it be. So I'm going to create a new version for the action modeled. Okay, so this is the version 0, and I'm going to create one more version for this 001. From there, I'm going to make some changes. So go to workflow, generate version. So this is like the safer side. I don't want to disturb the existing one. I want to create a new version and do all my changes, do all my testing. Okay. So it's saved now, 001. Okay. Save it. Now I am in the version 001. So here I'm going to change the latest end as 2 minutes model. Kind of absolute or expired kind of thing. So it will ask if you want to switch, it will just delete because only the one reaction can be entered for the missing deadlines. So what happens if you're going to continue? Use model deadline monitoring and delete other actions? Yes. Okay. So here I can say expired, the outcome. So nothing more over there and save it. So now if you go to your step, you find one activity has added here. So here what happens, it is approved. Yes, it is approved, workflow completed. If it is denied, workflow completed. And there is one more activity called expired because we use the option called model. So you can change, you can see the changes here. Now if you go to save it in active audit, and if you go to 001 version, you can see the difference, and you are in 00, sorry, 00, sorry, start over. This is version 0 and this is version 1. Okay. Yep. So now I'm going to, if it is model, what is the next step? Because it's not a display text. Display text will show you in your SBWB itself with the coloring change and the text. So if it is a model, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message, means email, send an email to the workflow initiator or the user saying that this is expired, so you don't want to do anything else. Okay, and I'm going to pass a message to the next level of the person, maybe the manager. So I'm going to add an email as well as I'm going to add a user decision. Okay. So here I'm going to add an email. So go to step. Send email. So email is saying this approval process expired, or we can say it's crossed your deadline kind of. Okay, expire, so no need any action from your end. Okay, that's a big one. It's not a subject. Okay, let me copy this and keep it here, and you can see this process is expired. You can add, if you want to add a PR number, those are you already aware of it. Okay, just do it. Just save it, and if you do go to control, this is a task for email. Please ignore my spellings. And you can see there is a task. This task is added 169. If you just go here, you can see this is the one they used to send an email. Okay, so it's again the standard one, 169, right? Yes. Okay, come here. Mail is done. Okay, continue. So you can see the graphic mode now. If it is expired, you can see if it is expired, there is an email process. Okay, I don't want to stop that. I need one more user decision here. So user decision is, this is PR approval manager level, or I can see missed approval kind of, whatever you want. Okay, manager level. I need the PR information, MSN1, F4. So I have the container, it's created at the initial stage, so I can use it anywhere I want. Okay. So here it's going to be received by the same person to initiate. Okay, and so here it is just to differentiate this manager approval and manager reject. Okay, we are almost done. Continue. And you can see the flow graphical flow. Still we are in version 1. It's reject, approve, expire, and there is an email, and again it's going to manager approval. And now if you see it's not complete, workflow is not completed here because we added a user decision. So now I need the process control. There's a process control here, the step. So this one, just drag and drop it. So what do you want to do? I want to complete it. So complete the workflow. Complete. I want to complete my workflow. That's it. Continue. So now if you see your graphical one, so this is this. Okay, it's after approve or reject, whatever is going to complete the workflow in active order. So now I am in version 1. To identify, you can see version 0, there is a difference. So this is my version 0 and this is my version 1. To just check which is actually getting generated. So what I'm going to do is, this is my version 1. Have a small change in the description. PRV28 version 1. Save it. Add it inside. Version 1. Save it. Back to audit and go to version 0 and do a small change because we need to understand which version is getting triggered. So if you're not doing any more change, by default, it always creates the version which generated initially. So initial generation of every workflow is version 0. That is the one which is going to generate. So whenever you have a version, I want to make sure which is active. Then go to basic data and go to version overview. So you can see it's a 0100. Okay, so which version is active now? 001. So if you want to change the generated version to be 00, I want only zeros to be active. So now what I do is basic data. Okay, I have to go back to the graphical mode. Yes. Workflow activation, create runtime generation where I am in now. I'm in 000, right? So go to workflow, activation, create runtime version. It's done, saved, revised is saved, activate. And now go to basic data, version overview, 00 is active. Meaning if you execute a PR, you will get only V0. I can show that also. So now 0 is active. Create a PR, want to save. Expectation is V0 to be generated, 198. Refresh. So 128 V0. 128 V0, 20198 is generated. So now change the version to V1. Go to graphical mode, workflow, activation. Oh, sorry. Change your version here. 1. Okay. Activated. Workflow, activation, create runtime version. Now make sure in your basic data, 1 is active. Oops. Really? Let me put again. Oh, sorry. 1 is runtime exit. Keep it in active mode. Is activated. Okay, the activation is missing. Activation was missing. So here 001 is active. Now execute, create a PR. 1, 2, save it. 199. Okay. So now go here and refresh. So we have 2 minutes delay, right? The deadline monitoring. So here you have 128 V1 2011. Oh, sorry, 20199. So this is done. So let's wait for for 2 minutes, and I'm expecting an email saying that your um, process or your this approval process is expired, and another email, manager approval. Okay, everything to be happen in 2 minutes. Let's see. Just click, you get this options. Okay, let me pass it. Okay, so now do a refresh. Okay, so there is missing peer approval E1. Okay, so the mail should be here, right? So there is a email saying step got expired, PR 2019 got expired. So, right. Okay, so here it is. 20199 approval got expired, so there is no action required from your end. So this is the email, it gets a little delayed. And go here, you might see the manager level workflow items also triggered. Okay, so 188 is approved, nothing happened. So for that, the PR approval 209199 is it's getting triggered. Now you can see manager approval, just approve and continue. So there is an email also for the initiator, or I can say the lead level. So nothing is happened here. Oh, okay, so that's because I read it. It's gone from the list. So now you can see the workflow log is WEL execute. Go to workflow item. And here you can see the different status, the little logically completed, and if you go the approval one, you can able to see the latest end here. Okay, so 147 it ends. It's actually created in 45, and in 2 minutes it's got expired or it ends. Okay, that information you're able to see. And still, if you want to see the graphic level, what happened. So it's full stride is it's created and it's waited 2 minutes and expired. There's an email sent, there's an approval, and there's an approval from the manager level. Okay, so this is a way you can able to add a deadline monitoring. Depends on the business scenario. It may be hours, days, months, or years. Okay, just go through it, and today we just have a little walkthrough about the versions. We have a lot to know about version and task also. Okay, so I hope this might be useful, and thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye.